Boom, 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 boom. This is our theme song. Hey, everybody, what's up? We're
I didn't
here.
realize I didn't realize we had to come up with a theme song. I bet it would have been working well into the evening on that
Oh yeah,
last night.
you have to have a theme. This is our webinar. You're gonna learn so much. Da 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 da. Hey, everybody. Does anybody? Thanks everyone for joining us. If you have any questions, please feel free to post in the comments, and we'll get to those. But we're excited to chat today. I've known Michael for a while, been a big fan, and we're excited to kind of merge our worlds and kind of show the creator world brands, whoever you might be, the amazing power of merch and how to easily get that merch to people on social media. Michael, welcome.
Absolutely.
Good to hang with you.
And welcome, Jeff. Yes, I've known Jeff for a little while now, and something that we've really connected on is how to empower creators to be able to reach their audiences in the most effective ways. And merchandise is one way, but also what he does at Stampede really is effective at just reminding people that that your content exists and how they can better engage with it. And that's something we're going to talk about. We are going to go into some information about what we do and like tips on how to help, but there's also going to be a lot of time for questions. So make sure that if you have questions to leave them in the chat. We'll get to them as we go forward in this webinar.
Yes, Paula, we're going to learn some stuff, so don't worry about it. It's all good. So, just my background, just quick, and then Michael will share a little bit about himself, is I've been in the digital space for quite some time. I had one of the first web development companies, too. I know you're like, Jeff, you're not old enough to have had a web development company, but yes, I did, one of the very first. And so I've been in the digital space for quite some time. Was pretty big on Twitter for a while, and we used to have a huge community there. And a lot of that evolved into Stampede Social on top of like my experiences working in digital and in marketing at Little Caesars, in their corporate, which is, and so doing a lot of that, working with influencers and creating a great platform with tons of great benefits to help people succeed online, which is how I met Michael. Michael was doing some really cool stuff at his previous employer, and then has now kind of branched off and is doing even cooler stuff. And like the synergy between what we're doing, the merch, and like getting the merch to people. Getting people to order the merch, I should say. He's going to get you the actual merch, but it was quite a kind of combination. So we wanted to talk because a lot of times the power of understanding two things and how they work together can help everyone benefit, and then leverage both of the things in a much more productive and effective way. So we're excited to kind of dive into how you can leverage the power of merch to drive fans and engagement on social media with Stampede Social and certified. Crucial.
In short form, certified is completely fine. Yeah, everything we do is certified by us, but it's certified.
Certified.
And I am Michael Bickett. I'm the COO of Certified Crucial and CEO of Geeks Under the Influence Digital Media. I've been in the podcast. I've been in the entertainer and creator space for, I think, since I was in diapers. But as a stand-up comic and musician, and yes, even in the late 90s, did slam poetry. I'm really glad camera phones weren't a thing back then, for sure. But in recent years, in the past decade or so, I've been a podcaster, run a small independent podcast network called Geeks Under the Influence, and we do digital media stuff as well. I came also from a distribution background, used to work for an electrical equipment distribution company for about a decade. So I know all the ins and outs of logistics going into this merch company that we started. And my time in podcasting being an award-winning show, I've got some awards back here. No biggie. That led me to working at several companies within the industry, like Podchaser and RSS.com. And my experience both running a network and working on the industry side really allowed me to see some big gaps in opportunities for creators. And so working with a former colleague from Podchaser, our CEO, Mars at Certified Crucial, we've started looking at opportunities for creators to create direct monetization opportunities through merchandise and allow creators to take advantage, especially in podcasting, of the decentralized elements of the medium. When you're looking at TikTok and YouTube and all the other socials, a lot of the time the advertising and the monetization comes from that platform itself. So you're limited by the size of your audience on that one particular platform. And for some people, that's very effective. For YouTube, for example, there's people on YouTube, or let's say at the moment, TikTok, that are really able to engage with their audiences on that one particular platform. But a lot of the time, that's because that medium is effective primarily on that platform. Long form video and even just more than 3-minute video works well on YouTube. Short form video works on TikTok. So those creators can live in those walled gardens and still be effective. Podcasting works on so many different levels. You need to be able to monetize it where your audience is, and sometimes that is Instagram, sometimes that is other socials. You need to be able to monetize more than just from how many people are listening. And so working with Jeff here, the point is to put nitrous in the gas tank of your socials and allow your audience to have access to your merchandise, to your direct monetization easier, so that you don't have to depend on them listening into a certain amount of your audio in order for them to hear the ad or click the link. You're making it available everywhere that they are.
Yeah, and that's, similar path, just a different kind of point of view in terms of where I focus with Stampede Social. Also a podcaster, also won a little award from the Scene Snobs. No big deal. Podcast.
Hey, it feels good. You're allowed to be proud of it.
It does feel good.
Yeah.
And so, so I've been podcasting for 4 years. So I, understand the creator space, just like Michael does. So we come from that similar background. We also have we've bonded over pop culture. And the very first time we talked, we're like, hey, we have the same toy in the background. And, and so, with Stampede Social, because it's so, it's not easy to focus on so many platforms. And if you can have something that's helping you drive listens, drive merch sales, then that's where my focus sort of went to. And so we started building an entire platform for Instagram so that you can not only just drive merchandise sales, but you can do giveaways and give away merch, because I think that's a good way to get people interested in it. If you have a book, you have one of the, we'll talk a little bit about the vinyl. I think that's one of the coolest things Certified Crucial does, amongst all the cool things they do. And, and so you can get them to register for pre-sales. You can get them to just buy one that's available already. And what was really important with Stampede and my team is creating data layers that didn't exist beforehand, is another benefit, so that you can understand who your fan base is and who's engaging with you, who's actually buying your merch, being able to track back to the posts that were generating the most merch or listens, and all of these things kind of combined. So it's like the power of both of these things together is quite illuminating.
None of this, very nice. None of this exists in a vacuum. You as even if your merch is incredible, even if people are excited once they see it, they got to see it first. And so that's where you've really got to start looking at your content creation as more than just the content itself. It's the extending area around it. It's your social media, it's Instagram. And by the way, with what might be happening with TikTok, as far as a video medium, Instagram is going to become that much more important for your social outreach than it is even now. And even now, it's very important. But if what comes to pass with TikTok, I mean, I'm already seeing some TikTok creators focusing a lot more on their Instagram as the time is coming. So just keep that in mind.
Right. I mean, not to be so cutting edge, but I just got an alert the Supreme Court's going to see something. I don't think it's going to get banned. I'm just going to put that out
I'm
there.
I'm
But like,
hoping.
but I'm with you 100%. It's what the important lesson is. MySpace, Vine, TikTok
Mhm.
is that sometimes things can disappear, and
Yeah,
so just even Twitter has X has massively shifted and changed over the last couple of years into something very very kind of different and attract anyway. So the interestingly enough, we're just rolling out YouTube features as well, so that you can
nice.
track your performance and comment automation on YouTube um, to help drive links there as well. Um, Sorry, we got a couple questions real quick. Will you be recommending merch purchase branding sites? We will. Okay, yeah. Okay, so you got you're on top. I just want
We'll get to that pretty shortly here. Woohoo! Excellent. I'm excited as well.
so yeah. I mean, just to give you an idea, just a visual of how Stampede Social and Certified Crucial work together. Is the idea is that with Stampede Social, you don't need to send them the link in bio, right? So this is just the kind of the process and the flow that you work into your work. So if Audio Flux is selling one of these cool Certified Crucial vinyls, instead of saying go to my link in bio, you just create a campaign, Vinyl Flux. And you say comment or DM us, Vinyl Flux, and this could be on Facebook or Instagram and soon YouTube. And then they'll get a DM that says, "Hey, thanks for commenting. Here's your link." And now it's in their DM as well. And what's really important about getting things into people's DMs is that the assumption is that when people see our stuff, like if they see, oh, Michael has this cool podcast out and Jeff does, and oh, this merch, but you're not always ready at the moment you happen to accidentally stumble upon something, right? So let's be honest, like, right, we save stuff, we never remember where that is. I always joke, like, I could retire on the knowledge I've learned on LinkedIn posts I've saved if I could find them, you know. And so you have the ability to get into their DMs, so now they know, oh, I was here, I could just go to my DM and here's the link for when I'm ready later to buy or to listen. So it's a matter of doing that. And plus you've now elevated the conversation. You can now personally reach out to these folks. Hey,
Mhm.
did you order it? Do you need any help ordering it? Hey, did you listen? I'd love to hear what you thought of the episode. It could be anything that you're doing where you're now creating that conversation and you're creating a record. So, well, literally a record, I guess, a vinyl if you're buying vinyl, but you're also creating a digital record of who's engaging with you, what they're interested in, and this is data now that isn't necessarily available otherwise easily, that you can start to build up and understand. Oh, okay, more people bought the vinyl than they bought the little squishy mallow things I made, or whatever it might be, and so it becomes the actual engagements themselves become extremely important data for you.
Well, and there's a way that you could use those interactions as a means to bolster your brand when reaching out to advertisers as well. One of the big challenges within podcasting right now is attribution, is figuring out how to pay podcasters. And for the most part, it's audience size that's being focused on. How many people are listening to your episodes or downloading it? And the problem with that is that as the medium becomes more walled off and have these individual ecosystems, like for example, YouTube doesn't have IAB certification. Those numbers aren't counted with by your hosting provider the same way that your Spotify or Apple Podcasts are. So your audience size is smaller. It's segmented into these two different ecosystems. And so your payouts are going to be smaller. Uh, but if you have something that you can use to create a conversion rate, then you can show the value of something versus the audience size. And what I mean by that is a conversion rate normally for a website. Let's say you have a e-commerce store, is the number of people going to your website uh, divided by, or the number of people that are buying merch on your website divided by the total number of people that are going to your website times 100. And that gives you your conversion rate. That shows the value of your audience, how likely people are to buy the thing. If you have merchandise and you also have, say, Stampede Social, where you can look at the metrics on how many people are responding to these DMs, how many people are, reaching out in the first place, you now have those metrics to compare to the number of conversions or the number of purchases. So now you can show the value of your audience, meaning that when you go to an advertiser, they're like, oh, we only have 2,000 listeners a month. You can go, yeah, but this is our conversion rate. It's way higher than bigger shows. So now you have leverage, and leverage in this game is everything.
Right. And, early on, one of the cool things, and mostly because I'm a podcaster and in that world, so it was like, we tend to think, if you're holding a hammer, the whole world's a nail, right? And so the really kind of interesting thing is about when I was developing Stampede Social, that one of the cool things I discovered early on, which is right to Michael's point, is that there's so much focus on just what's your download number, right? I could get 1,000 downloads a month, let's say, on my podcast, which isn't, could be great for a lot of people, but in the advertising world, maybe not great. But I could have 100,000 people on my YouTube or my Instagram account, right? But that's not counted into the equation at all. And so, but it should be. And so, with Stampede Social, like one of the cool things about it, one of the really tangible benefits is I can go, hey, go DM me vinyl on Facebook or Instagram, and I'll send you a link to buy my merch. You know what I mean? And so you can now convert an anonymous person into a known person because now they've engaged with you literally. I've now sent them a trackable link. Think about the times where we do we've been asked to do a host read ad, right? Go to betterhelp.com/classic50, right? And this is amongst the 40 minutes of other information I'm about to give you. And I'm expecting you to remember a very specific URL that if it doesn't tie back to me, I'm not going to get a renewal on that sponsorship, right? So versus just saying, go DM me BetterHelp on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll send you a link. And then you get a trackable link. So if they clicked on it, right? Because otherwise, when we do these sponsor host things, we don't even know who clicks on them, right? And so this way now you can track it. Same thing with merch sales or anything, right? You start to really understand, okay, it's almost like live A/B testing. You know exactly how well something's doing, and you can kind of either rev it up or switch tactics, that kind of thing. Oh, just to pick, so, oh, well, the image, the reel of me talking about the merch did better than just a photo of the merch. You can start to really understand that stuff real time without even just, it being like a gut thing. You got the data lying there. And then you can look at it and say, oh, well, on TikTok it did this, and then on YouTube it did this, right? Because you're starting to share the same things and see how some of those reels or short videos are performing differently or, effective or non-effectively on the different platforms.
Exactly. And that's kind of where we need to be as far as measurements right now within the medium, is that it's not enough to know just the one number, audience size. Like that doesn't really mean anything like it, or doesn't mean as much as it used to before. And there are ways to measure, like Stampede Social, that allows you, like Jeff was saying, different mediums, different types of content, what's working. It's not just about being able to show that off to advertisers, but that's good for you to know. And especially when you're talking about merchandise, one of the things we focus on at Certified Crucial when we're creating merch for people is making sure the merch matches the brand, is making sure that it's the right kind of merchandise. An example we use is that there was a client that had a show about that was the audience was primarily older women, and they were wondering why their t-shirt sales on YouTube were not doing well. And it's because your audience isn't the type that tends to wear t-shirts that much. It's not the right fit. Maybe the right fit, but not the right, not the right item. So looking at those numbers for what kind of sales you're doing, where people are coming from, what kind of engagement you're getting from your audience before there's even a sale, is really helpful on identifying the most effective ways to monetize and create merchandise. Again, the data will save you a lot of time and energy. And in this game, when we're all wearing 30 different hats at the same time is really the hardest thing to come by.
Absolutely. So let me just, if I may, just indulge for 1 second, and like,
Sure.
these are the things that Stampede Social does specifically on Instagram, and so where it ties in with merch is, one, we can drive leads and sales, pre-sales, sales of the actual merch. But the other thing that's really important that we haven't even touched on is user fan generated content. So when you give people merch, a T-shirt or anything, if you're at a conference, give them a hashtag, have them tag you, and then Stampede Social will pull all those posts or reels right into dashboard, and then you can acknowledge those folks, and it helps build your fan database. That's one of the cool things, is when Stampede Social kind of combines the DM automation, the UGC stuff, and then we mentioned briefly post-level giveaways where you can give away merch. This is a great way to create FOMO. We're going to give away one, but we're selling the rest. So if you enter, maybe you get a discount. There's a million things you can do to leverage a giveaway and engagement specifically tied with merch. And then we mentioned all the data and all that, but we'll focus on the fun stuff, which is just kind of driving it, tracking it. So it's not just about putting it into the world. One of the things that Stampede Social, when I was building it out, was like, there's a lot of things that people put in motion, but I want to help them manage and measure those things along the way. And those were the pieces of the software that were missing and that we kind of filled in the blanks for. So it's not just about the DM automation. It's also comment engagement and AI tools, and you can analyze the conversations, and there's so much coolness you can do, which then can help take that data and say, okay, these are the types of merch I need to create more of, or this is what they're asking for, all those kind of things. It's interesting, by the way, just tangent that you mentioned the T-shirt. I find like some people are more likely to get a T-shirt if they're in the moment there, than, what I mean? Like, when I was a stand-up comic, and like people, the women and stuff would buy these T-shirts after the show. Never in a million years would they have bought that online, but
sure,
because they had just watched the comic, and there's that moment. So merch can also be about where you're at and all that as well. It's not necessarily, if you're in person, there's a different affinity towards merch and what people might want to get to remember you by than something they may just randomly buy online as well. So to me, I know it should be your pitch, but like that, to me, when I think about merch and from what I've seen, like that is one of the interesting things that kind of play into it. Comedians, I know comedians is one of your folks, like comedian, what they sell after a show, which will tie right into their act a lot of times. People have just seen that joke, just seen something, and they're more likely to buy that sticker or that shirt or something like that, or album, because they feel like they really know that person on an intimate level because they've just spent an hour with them.
Yep.
And then that merch will fly off the shelves as well. So.
Well, and that's something that we are focusing on, is that live experience, not just with podcasters, but like with comics as well, is if you're looking at average conversion rates, an online store has 2 to 3% on average conversion rates for like 2 to 3% of the people visiting your store are going to purchase something. That's average. If at a live event, it's 22%. So it's a huge increase in the number of people that are buying the buttons, the stickers, everything. And one thing that we identified is that that intimacy that Jeff is talking about is so fundamentally important to not just purchase power, but also ambassadorship, is having these people that are at your shows or listening to your content, engaging you on your socials. You want them to feel like they're part of it, and merchandise really helps in that way. But sometimes there are opportunities that you can't have available at the event. For example, Jeff mentioned earlier, we do vinyl. And we have a vinyl we just finished pre-order on for Audio Flux, which does like little short story stuff, kind of like short films for audio creators. Very, very cool. One thing that we did with that is at Resonate Podcast Festival in October, we had a QR code at our table to pre-order the Audio Flux vinyl. So they saw the presentation for Audio Flux. They were engaging us at our table. They were excited, surrounded by other people that are fans of audio, and it motivated them, 22% to pre-order this vinyl. So even though we didn't have it for sale at our table, we still capitalized on that motivation that you get from in-person shows. And this is something that other podcasters at live events can do, not just with vinyl, but t-shirts. You can make our limit is 25 to start our minimum for t-shirts. So if, let's say, you can get 25 people to pre-order a limited run t-shirt, you can do that at every live show. You can have a specific t-shirt for that live show, at, Steve's Yak Box. I don't know if that's a real place or not. But you can personalize it in a much more dramatic way than just this, assembly line merch kind of thing. Comics can actually have a recording. Comics and live podcasts can have the recording that people were there for. The stand-up show or the podcast recording that people were at the event for, and have people pre-order it later so they have a physical copy of the thing that they were there for. They can say, I was at this show. How cool is that?
Can I blow your mind? Can I blow your mind on something?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know, like, so when we talk about QR codes, one of the things that just is kind of baked into Stampede Social is we create in your dashboard a QR code that opens up your Instagram DM. And so you can see this is just a picture of me on stage using it very similar to how you were mentioning it. And when I'm on stage, I say, hey, DM me slides and I'll send you a link to my slides. And so what's happening there is instead of sending them to a website, it's sending them the link via the same DM automation that we were talking about earlier. So now, if there's 50 people in the audience and 15 of them do it, those 15 people are now in a report and in your DMs. So you absolutely know, who did it, and you can actually follow up with them afterwards. Same exact thing that you just mentioned, where you're like, oh, you can set up different campaigns for different shows, right? You can just put the date, actually. Why not? Yeah, that's probably the easiest thing. And so it becomes a lead list. The issue with sending people directly to a URL with a QR code, well, most people do it. So, but the issue is it ends up as a browser on your phone. If you don't act on it right at that moment, especially if you're like at a comedy club or something like that, you're rushing through, and then you're in the car, and then maybe you're going out for drinks, and now you've got 10 browsers open from that point, right? But this way now it's in, like we mentioned earlier, it's in your DMs. So now you're much more likely to go back, and because you've now created that, and plus you can follow up with them about the merch and the thing, and it's now there. It's very easy to access, and they're now known to you, so you can actually engage with them versus you would only know if they actually bought it if they went to it from the show, right? So this way you can kind of track that down, and you can kind of see, hey, it's a cool thing, that the idea that you have, because the right person or the right comic or the right artist, who travels, people can then start to collect these things, the different shows or shirts from the different shows. It can be kind of like a Grateful Dead-ish type thing, which would be
exactly. And there's so many people that want to collect, every show, every appearance of a thing. So the collector's market, as somebody that is a collector myself of many different things, I know the motivation to complete the set. So there's a lot of opportunities there. And to your point with not being able to do it right in that moment, I have significant ADHD. And one of the things with ADHD is object permanence. Once something is out of sight, it is out of mind. And that affects my life dramatically without the tools necessary to handle that, which means I have lots of schedules and reminders and things set up that I have to use all the time in order to stay on top of things. This works like a lot of those tools do, where it allows me to, in a circumstance where I'm sending a message to a content creator I like, they're going to remind me, hey, this is available now. And then it's there and it's in my messages and I can be reminded. Whereas if they told me to do it right then, if I don't do it right then, I will never, ever do it. And so, yeah, this is almost like an assistive tool for neurodivergent people. It really is.
There you go. I like.
Yeah.
I like. I'm going to use that quote.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. Love it.
But yeah, let's take some questions here. I think we've talked a little bit. We'll get into some more stuff as we go. But I know that E-Executive talked about merch purchasing and branding sites. And so I do want to get into that a little bit with, since we actually do produce merchandise for people, I do want to say us is a great starting point. But it's not necessarily going to be the starting point for everyone. What we do, we're a company that uses primarily independent businesses and makers to create merchandise for digital content creators. So like the stickers and the buttons, the t-shirts, the stuff that you normally would expect, we can provide that via independent makers. Like our t-shirt screen printer is a guy I've known for 20 years. He hand screens the t-shirts. They're not assembly line produced, like print on demand, where the quality is going to be affected a little bit. And also the margins are better. You're not getting the $4 or $5 per shirt. You're getting $10, $12 a shirt for the selling it for the same rate. So that's our focus. But the starting point there is a little bit higher. For shirts, you need to have a minimum of 25 shirts sold. So we do have built-in pre-order options where if you want to sell a shirt, like we were talking about with the pre-order stuff, we can set up like a month or 2 months. Usually a month is what we suggest. Pre-order plan where we will have the item, a mock-up on our site, and you can send people to that link to pre-order. And once you hit the 25 shirts, then it's good to go. And anything more than that is just gravy. But that allows you to offer these items that are much better quality and better margins without having to pay for it up front. But also the pay up front stuff, there's merch you can do that is inexpensive. Buttons and stickers are popular for that reason. I mean, like, yeah, this is a spooky like a spooky taxidermy shop that we're doing buttons for right now, that you can get for like $100, like a bunch of buttons, like a whole bunch of buttons. And then you can use those as the giveaways, like Jeff was saying, and it's like a 50-cent giveaway. It's super cheap. It's not going to break your bank to give these away. Same with stickers. Stickers are very inexpensive. I got a block of Certified Crucial stickers. And the cool thing with these too, with the QR code that Jeff was talking about, boom, we can print the QR code on the back of the sticker. So if you're giving these away, it's not just something to remind them of your brand, but it's also, kind of like a business card. It's got a way for them to contact you. Now, I don't want to suggest this is the only way to do it. Print on demand is effective for especially people starting out. When your audience is smaller, you don't have the startup capital to pay for things ahead of time. I've used and still in a couple minor ways use print on demand services. The important part is to make sure that or that you try to get the most consistent quality you can. I will tell you straight up, print on demand services are not going to be as good quality as like screen printed, or even the digital transfer stuff that you get from a shop is going to be better than print on demand. I mean, they're rolling out so much product that it's not going to have the same, focus on quality that some of these other shops that do it like we do. So keep that in mind. This is fast fashion, extra fast fashion. So you can upload these designs, get a store set up, and roll pretty quickly. But that ease, you're sacrificing quality. It's the iron triangle. It's was it fast, cheap, and good? You can only have two of them.
Right. Tell me which one you don't want. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but if that's a decent starting point, my suggestion, and this is not paid for or anything, and also again, not perfect, but I've had success with Printify because you can choose what production house your shirts are coming from. It also can be set up to run through Etsy. So if you want to create an Etsy store through your Printify shop, that's the way to do it. I've like daisy chained it where I've had the Printify shop go to an Etsy shop that then I use an Etsy API on a website to show the Etsy store on the website that's being fulfilled through Printify. That's a huge pain in the butt. Don't do that. That's a lot of extra work, but I would look at making sure you can get the best quality for a print on demand, and also that you're effectively able to promote it. Printify isn't as visible as TeePublic per se, but I've had more success with the quality with Printify. So it's all research. It's all figuring out kind of the best, what is more important to you. But I would say for the smaller items like pins and buttons and stickers and stuff, it's worth taking a little extra time and throwing a few extra bucks in to get it done yourself. You're gonna get like no margin on these print on demand places, and it's approachable in cost for even small brands.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna go to like a trade show or something, right? You want to work with Michael. You want the best quality that you're possibly gonna get, because you don't want to cheap it out and then you're standing there with it in front of people and they're not going to want it because it looks like crap. So I love those stickers, those little vinyl stickers, because I walk around with these notebooks, and then those are great during a conference to kind of collect those and put them on there. And then on my business card, like you mentioned, I do the same thing. I have my QR code on my business card. And so, people can just engage with me there. And it's a good way to show off a little bit about what we do as well, in terms of being able to, connect people via DM and allow me to follow up with them real easily. So
my hard part with stickers is I'm too precious with them. I end up with like a stack of stickers because I don't have the perfect spot to put them on. And this company we started actually has helped with that, where I realized like these are like $1. Like it's not, I can get more if I need them. So I've got like cardboard boxes with stickers on them now, because I had like a stack this big of just giveaway stickers I've gotten over the time from different businesses, and I want to display them. They're cool stickers, and so that's a suggestion I'm not making any money on, but use your stickers. They're not doing any good in a box somewhere. Put them on stuff. Put them on notebooks. Even if it's something you're going to toss eventually, use them.
Right. And then how much strategy should go into, like, if you're doing a conference, like there's a swag. To me, there's a strategy with the swag. Like buttons are probably better at a conference, I would think, because you can put them on your thing as you're walking around, right? So
on the lanyard is really helpful. There are a number of different ways to stand out. Stickers are great for future use, but if you want the people that are getting the merch to use them regularly, pens are okay, especially if there's stuff at the conference that requires pens. It's helpful, but buttons is a huge get. We create little lanyards or little badges for lanyards that can go behind the lanyard for the conference, so you can use it to put business cards you're collecting in it behind the lanyard. I think Paula has like every free giveaway that we gave at Podcast Movement. I think a perfect example of somebody that will promote the crap out of you if you give them free stuff. It helps. Our stuff was very cool looking.
Yeah, Paula, Paula has great merch herself.
I mean, talk about the right kind of hype person. Like, absolutely. But having something that stands out. If you have something that looks like everything else, every other giveaway being given away, it'll just end up in the bottom of that little tote bag you get from some business, and and be forgotten about or end up being tossed at some point. You want something that's going to be helpful and memorable, so that you're the point of promotional merch is so that the person's being reminded of your brand all the time.
I forgot that I could put comments up. I haven't done a webinar in a while, so I'm like, I know next time, like maybe a little more design on the background, and I forgot about the comment feature.
Oh, no, no worries. This is
Yeah,
just a kind of a chill conversation anyway.
yeah, I'll zhuzh it up before I put it on YouTube. But yeah, I think the thing I love, and the reason I love kind of partnering with companies such and people such as yourself is Stampede Social is a very powerful tool, but it's more powerful when there's a clear application for it from creators. So you don't have, like it's a great idea on its own, but then when you actually have a way to execute it, oh, this will encourage me now to get the merch because now I have a way to deliver the merch. Or when I say deliver, again, we don't send you the merch. We're going to get the people to buy the merch, sign up for the merch. That's where we can help you, like where you can bridge that gap. We're the bridge between the post of awareness and getting it into the DM in a trackable and manageable way. So, so that's why I love this conversation. I love kind of promoting you and, us cross promoting each other. It's just that it's such a mesh together that together it's like, oh, this is unstoppable when used together, which is awesome.
Yep. And like you said, you don't deliver the merch, but we do.
Right, you do. Certified Crucial will get that merch right to you. We just help you kind of place that order so they can do their thing.
Yeah, there's so many different ways
into your DM much easier.
Absolutely, and there's so many ways we can do it too. I mean, we have subdomains for businesses so that we literally host their store and do all the logistics and back end and ship out packages. We've got all the distribution stuff so we can print out the labels and send them out and packed and ready to roll. Or something as simple as just getting the merch, sourcing it for you and shipping it out. We're also working right now on subscription boxes where creators can have like monthly or quarterly or even yearly subscription boxes that have like all sorts of cool stuff in it. We're working on that for a client, and hopefully Paula and us get to do something with that in the not too distant future as well. We had talked about that. But that's the thing, is like personalization, just like going into the DMs with Stampede. Having that intimacy is what is the most effective, especially in the podcast medium, but digital content creation in general. So if your merchandise is personalized and exclusive and your interactions with your audience is personal, then you're really capitalizing on the most powerful element of your connection to your audience, which is intimacy. You're really becoming like that meme. I love the meme of the people eating yogurt next to the yogurt sign, and it's like me listening to podcasts where you feel like you're their friend. Capitalize on the intimacy. Get in the DMs in a not creepy way, and create merchandise and content that people really feel like is exclusive to them, is meant for them.
Amen. Paul, you got any questions before we go? Or executive, any questions? Or anybody, if you haven't said hello, I may not know you're here. But let me know. Otherwise, we can wrap up this amazing session.
Yeah, I tend to ramble a little bit, well, ADHD, but also I just get so excited about this stuff. I tend to get on my soapbox and start profligating. So if anybody on the call wants to hear Jeff or I profligate a little further about our stuff, you're always welcome to reach out and set up a meeting or get some more information from us for sure.
Yeah, you can reach me at jeff@stampede.social. When we post this, we'll put some links and
links and stuff. Yeah.
Stuff like that.
I'm Michael at Certified Crucial, or just go to our website and you can schedule a meeting or like reach out via email and stuff. That's all easy, and you can look at some of the options we have available on the site as well. But at the end of the day, what Jeff and I really connect with, what we're doing is offering creators the opportunity to control their own destinies, not relying on other people to guide them on the best way to connect with their audience, by using the right tools to get the right metrics, so what's being effective with your audience, and then using that to produce like the right kind of merchandise and engage with your audience more personally, and yeah, you're gonna create a really powerful connection that is gonna be more effective for monetization, but also just for uh your well-being. Having that connection is going to push you through the hard parts when you don't want to edit that episode, when you're exhausted, when you feel like you're not doing enough. Those personal connections will end up being the people that comment at just the right time on your social and give you that oomph, or buys the thing that you're not really sure if it's going to work or not, and they're posting with the right hashtags, pictures of it. That intimacy is priceless.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
So thanks everyone for hanging out with us. This was awesome. It says question in the chat comments. Did you have a question?
Oh,
exactly?
I saw there was something about a museum exhibit, which is very cool. That a podcast episode will become a museum exhibit. What are your merch recommendations, please and thank you? That's a new use case. I have not had a
cool use case, yeah.
Person yet, but that's, first off, that's so cool. That's so very, very cool. Congrats and good for you, as I wave my hands and knock over stuff. That, I think I would have to know kind of the context of the museum exhibit before I had suggestions on it, but definitely something that like represents what your show is the best. And that's like conversations I've had with podcasters about creating the name of your show, is you want something that's fun, but also kind of explains what you're doing at the same time. There's a lot of shows that do the like 4 guys gabbing podcast, and it doesn't really explain what the genre is, what you're doing. You want your merchandise to have that same that same opportunity to explain what you're doing. So
I think what he needs is a combination of the QR code that links to Stampede Social that allows them to buy a 7-inch vinyl best hits of the Executives podcast. That's where I'm going. That's where I would go with that.
Although, yeah, like merch that just
probably, I'm guessing he's not there. We're just making up everything, but like I'm guessing he's not there because it's an exhibit. So you don't want, if you put out candy or whatever, everyone's going to grab it all, or the stickers are going to get, so you want to drive them somewhere, which then also lets you know who visited. So I think there's that.
Yeah, if you could work in a QR code on whatever merch is displayed, that's not going to be necessarily a bad thing for you.
Yeah. Let's do it. All right.
But, that's a conversation, I think, to identify what's going to be the most effective based on what the exhibit is, what you're trying to convey with your merch item. And again, that's a reach out via the website for a meeting or email or whatever, and we can identify some opportunities there. We do 15-minute consultations for free, so happy to jump on a call or email back and forth.
Awesome. Well, Michael, thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks to everyone who came by. Thanks to everyone who was watching this on replay or on YouTube or wherever. Reach out to Michael or I if you have any questions. We're big fans of each other. We'll point you in the right direction, and we will see you on the socials, I guess. Let's. I
can't wait for the content of me saying like it's an assistive tool for ADHD. I know you're going to clip that out and put that on your socials.
Yeah, this entire webinar will be available as a 7-part vinyl series that you can get for $99. We're excited to pre-sale that right now. I'm just kidding. No, but you could do that if you wanted. That's if you wanted to. Yeah, that's our point. Yes. So, all right. Well, thank you, Michael. Thanks, everyone. We don't have any theme songs or music. We appreciate you all for stopping by. I'm going to put up the end thing, and then I'm going to hit end stream. Thank you all. Appreciate you.
Thanks, everybody.